Hey all, it's Melanie from Melanie's Gifts. I thought tonight I would show you how I make one of my wood burn cutting boards. I don't have fancy equipment. I can't afford fancy equipment. You don't need fancy equipment. So I went to Dollar Tree and I bought a cutting board. Cost me like $1.25. And I'm going to take some 220 grit sandpaper. I have a little sandpaper block. I like these, so you can wash them and reuse them. So basically, you just want to scuff it up a little bit. You don't really need to do much. I already did a little bit before I started the video. And then you just want to make sure that you wipe it down really good because you don't want to have any of that sawdust and icky stuff when you go to do your board. So let's see if I can adjust this a little bit so you guys can see a little better. Give me a second here. There we go. Now you should be able to see a little better. All right, so we have our board. We already sanded it a little bit. I wiped it down so it's nice and clean. Now I have two different kinds of stencils. I started off by using these. I recently changed to these. These are silk screen stencils. They work much better, I'll be honest. They're reusable, they stick on, and they prevent bleeding. So if you were going to do this, I would suggest the silk screen. But, you know, I started the other way, and I've been doing it with these kind of right along, so I'm going to actually mix it up today. Because as you can see, my little cutout is kind of small for my board. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of combine them so that I have the wording and the heart. Just haven't decided, do I want to do the heart first or the welcome first? I think I want to do the heart first. So basically what I'm going to do here is I'm going to start with my welcome. It's just on sticky glossy paper. This stuff's kind of cool. It's sticky, so you would think that you couldn't use it again, but you actually wash it under water and then you leave it on the counter to dry, sticky side up. And when it's done drying, you just attach it right back to the glossy paper it comes on, and it sticks perfectly. All right, I want to do this even, so what I'm going to do here is my towel has some lines in it, and I'm generally too lazy to go get a ruler or a tape measure or anything like that, and if my towel has lines in it, why not take advantage of you and use them? So I'm just going to kind of use the lines here to do some measuring. It's still not going to be perfect, but it's handmade. It's not supposed to be. So, alright, so I have my first, I have it, see, it sticks. It's very good. Now this one obviously does not stick. You can handle that in a couple of ways. You could tape it down. You can hold it down, you know, whichever you prefer. The thing you have to be careful with these is they lift, and then you end up with running. And obviously you don't want that. So as far as supplies, what I have here is some wood burning gel. It comes with this little spreader thing, but personally I like the paintbrush. I feel like I have more control with the paintbrush. I'm going to get this out of the way for the moment, and I'm just going to work on the welcome part of it right now. So I'm just going to dip my paintbrush in, and I'm just going to paint right over the stencil. And I'm just going to keep doing that until I've covered everything. And I'll give you a nice look when we're done. But it doesn't have to be too thick, but you do want to make sure it's covered, because if it's not covered, you're going to have little spots that don't burn. And then it's going to kind of look a little odd. If that happens, though, there are ways to fix things to a certain extent. I mean, obviously, if it's too bad, there might not be anything we can do. but I actually have some wood burning markers that I can go in and sometimes I can fill in, like if I have a little blank spot, and I'll show you those here in a minute. I just want to get this done first. So basically, like I said, you're just gonna go right over it. You know, be careful not to go over the edges of your stencil, because wherever you apply this, it's going to burn. And there's no way around that. On the plus side, it's wood. You can always sand and restart. I made one not too long ago. I completely screwed it up, sanded it down, started from the beginning. You would never know that there was an issue. All right, so now I'm going to show you, because I'm not going to be able to show you when I do the heart, because I won't be able to lift it up because it doesn't stick. But as you can see, I've just kind of gone over the stencil everywhere I can with the paste. Now I'm going to put my heart here, and I'm going to just kind of line it up so that it kind of centers. And I'm going to get a big glop of stuff on here. I'm running low. I'm going to have to buy some more pretty soon. But I want to go nice and, you know, right edge to edge. Put a good amount in there, but again, you don't want to go crazy. You don't need to put too much. Just a nice layer. Because honestly, I'm going to use a paper towel and I'm going to sop some up when we are done. Because if you have too much, when it burns, it'll kind of bubble up and it'll cause you to have to do a lot more sanding, and it just won't look as even. So I got some on me, not that big a deal. I'm going to wash it off because I don't want to leave it on there too long. I've never gotten burned or had anything weird happen to my skin from the burn paste, but at the same time, I don't leave it there for an extended period of time either. If I get some on me, I immediately wash it off. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take a clean, dry paper towel, put it down on top, and I'm just going to pat it down a little bit and soak up the extra. I actually probably should have let the heart dry a little bit longer, but I was talking to you guys and got distracted. But we will hold off on burning that one until last. Now I'm just going to throw the paper towel away, and I'm going to peel off my stencils. Again, the sticky one, nice and easy. The other one, you just want to be a little bit more careful because you don't want to smudge it all everywhere. Generally, I wash these right away, but because I'm with you guys tonight, I will wait a few minutes and wash those when we're done. Oops, I just got some paste on my counter, so let me deal with that before we ruin the counter. Always make sure you put a towel, because you never know what these things are going to do. These chemicals can do to your counter. I never want to take that chance. So now it sat for a few minutes. Maybe, you know, I would give it anywhere from 2 to 5 minutes. If you look, I'll show you what it looks like before I burn it. You can see it's already outlined with the paste, but that's wet. You don't want to leave that. So also, you can't really see it, but there's a little spot on the heart where it just looks like it didn't cover. So I mentioned those markers that I talked about. Yeah. So I mentioned those markers to you. They just look like normal markers, except for they have burn paste in it. So what I'm going to do is that little corner that I didn't quite get all the way, I'm going to go over it with the marker before I burn. And anywhere else I might see a spot that might look a little light. The only thing you want to be careful, because you don't have a stencil down, so of course it can spread and burn. Now this part does take a few minutes, but you just use a heat gun, turn it on. You don't want to leave it sitting in one space. If you do for too long, you will burn the wood. I've learned that the hard way a couple of times. I also have gotten distracted a few times even after learning how to do it and have still ended up doing it. Not a big deal. Again, it's wood. All you have to do is sand it down and problem solved. So now this does take a few minutes. I would say it's probably going to take me a good 5 or 10 minutes to get this completely um, burnt or heated, however you want to look at it. I don't know if you can see when you've got the camera and lead a little closer, so you can take a look at exactly what's happening here. But you should be able to see the wood is starting to change colors as it's getting hot. So now we can put the finger to stand back up again, of course. So that's the way that works. So I guess I'm just holding it right here. But again, we're just going to continue to run the heat gun across it. As you can see, I'm just kind of moving it every few seconds. Just don't want to leave it in one spot for too long. And as I do it, it gets darker and darker. And if you notice like a spot's not really burning, just kind of adjust the angle of the heat gun, and generally that solves the problem. And now I'm going to start on that big old heart. And the heart's a little bit bigger, and because of the type of stencil I use, the paste is a little thicker, so it takes a little longer. And sometimes you actually can see a little smoke coming from the wood. It's not a big deal, you're burning wood, so it's kind of expected. Ooh, let's not drop the heat gun. As you can see, there is my project. You can see there's a few spots right there. And this video is turning horrible now. I'm going to have to figure something else out for this. But I'm just going to go through with my marker because I got a blank spot right there. So now I'm just going to heat her back up. Problem solved. And now, hey y'all, I'm back. Finished burning it, as you can see. Now we just gotta sand it down a little bit because it's a little bit rough. Not a big deal. Again, 220 grit, just a light sand. You don't want to sand it off. And then take a paper towel and wipe it down. So you can get all the black icky stuff off. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to treat it to make sure that it stands the test of time. Because this is wood, and you know, wood doesn't like water, but of course you want to be able to do things like wash your cutting board. So I'm just using food grade mineral oil. Everything I'm using is food grade because it's a cutting board. I want you to be able to use it. So I'm just spreading it out. And as you can see, as I do it, it just becomes prettier and prettier. Now don't just do the side that you've burned. The whole thing's going to be washed eventually. You know, sides, back, front, the whole thing. So, still a little hot. So, you know, do the front and the back. Now I didn't put as much on the back, but that's only because I already have some on my towel. You know, it kind of seeps in. So I don't need as much on the back. I don't want to end up, you know, with so much that it takes years to dry or anything. But at the same time, you don't want it to be dry. I want it to be wet. I want it to soak in and and dry overnight. But there you go. We are done burning.